About a month ago, I made a community post asking which characters from the manga would you like to see me talk about next, and by quite a large margin, Gold came out on top, so today's video will be about him. With the previous two parts of this series, I talked about high stakes final battles, but for this, I want to tone it down a bit, and instead cover a good old rival battle, since the rivalry between Gold and Silver may be in contention for the best in this series. From going to two trainers who hate each other, to forming a hardcore bromance. So with the intro out of the way, let's begin. Of course, as tradition, we gotta set the scene. The beef between these two starts all the way back at the first chapter of the Gold, Silver and Crystal chapter. Our story starts with Gold and youngster Joey, who are making their way to Professor Elm's lab in order to deliver a parcel and find Gold's stolen Pokemon. Whilst these two are making their way there, we have the introduction of Silver, who's at Professor Elm's lab already. And just like in the games, you know this guy is up to some thievery. He knocks on Professor Elm's door, and when Professor Elm goes to answer it, nobody's there. Thinking he was just hearing things, Professor Elm goes back into his lab. But somehow against all odds, Silver somehow managed to get Professor Elm to open the door, sneak in, and place himself on the ceiling with no problem. And from the smug grin on his face, you can already tell he's up to no good. Silver then steals Totodile's Pokeball and prepares to make his great escape out the window. Now we have the arrival of Gold, who uses his brain to figure out that a thief wouldn't leave through the front door, so when Silver comes out from the window, he catches him right in the act. Silver begins to escape, but Gold chases him down using his pool cue to launch Apomm's Pokeball behind Silver and attack. Gold demands Silver return his stolen backpack with his Pokemon, but Silver denies knowing anything about it. At this point, Gold starts to think to himself about how Silver's actually a pretty scary guy, with the way he managed to knock out both Professor Elm and steal his Pokemon. Gold then sees that Professor Elm's Cyndaquil wants to help out, so he sends it out and prepares his attack. But Silver doesn't want to fight, instead jumping from the window and swinging from tree to tree. But you already know Gold isn't your average trainer, and he gets Cyndaquil to use Ember on the tree Silver was about to swing onto, burning his hand and forcing him to the ground. Silver's about to prepare his next move, but Gold isn't going to let that slide and holds up his Q-sticks to Silver's neck. But bro, that ain't a sword, but most you can do with it is bonk him on the head. But it turns out I spoke too soon, cause Gold ups the pressure by getting Cyndaquil to create a ring of fire so Silver can't escape again. And just when Gold's about to finish things off and interrogate Silver, he gets zapped in the back by Team Rocket and their Ellie kid, making him faint. As for Silver, he easily forces back to Team Rocket members, then takes his leave. From this first interaction between the two, it's actually quite interesting to see how Gold was actually the more calculated and tactical fighter. And if Team Rocket didn't get involved, he would have actually been able to end Silver's run right there and there. But you know what they say, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Now on to the next battle, where we skip a couple chapters down, with Gold continuing his search for Silver, who's now arrived at the Sprout Tower in Violet City. At this point, you can probably see the parallels with the games with where these two keep meeting. Anyway, Silver's arrived at the Sprout Tower in Violet City in order to train his Totodile into evolving. And after getting some clues for where Silver could be, Gold also arrives at the tower. Just like in the games, he has to fight through a couple of monks in the tower, but before you know it, he catches up to Silver, who once again does not want the smoke, this time forcing Gold away by blocking off his entry. But as I said earlier, Gold is not going to let that slide, and he uses Apomm's tail to latch onto the remaining stairs. Getting back on his feet, the two prepare for their first proper fight, with Totodile vs Cyndaquil. Gold demands Silver returns the Pokemon he stole, and Silver just goes, why? Gold tells Silver that he made a promise to Professor Elm, and one way or another he's gonna get his Totodile back. Silver tells Gold that there's no way he'll be able to defeat him, as Totodile has an advantage over Cyndaquil. But Gold pretty much just says,
I'm gonna do my own thing.
And with the use of Cyndaquil's smokescreen, blocks Silver's vision, but not Gold's thanks to his goggles. Gold tells Silver that sure type matchups exist, but him and his Pokemon don't care cause they're just built different. And with that, he sneaks past Silver and takes Totodile back. But instead of going back with him, Totodile bites his hand and does a backflip back to Silver's side. With the smoke cleared now, Silver then reveals that the reason why he wants to stay with him is because with him he can actually get stronger, and staying with Professor Elm won't help with that. I don't know if Pokemon can get Stockholm Syndrome, but this sure sounds like it. Suddenly, the training system in the tower activates, causing a massive ball to fall from the ceiling, and spikes to come out from the walls, forcing Gold to Silver to work together as their escape is blocked from Silver's earlier attack. And with no escape, their only choice is to break the ball, so with the combined effort with Expo and Totodile, they manage to do so. Gold is about to tell Silver that he owes him one, but Silver somehow already made his way out of the tower. Although he may not be a good guy, you definitely can't denounce his skills as a thief. Silver leaves, his Totodile evolves into a Croconaw, proving his theory even more on why Totodile wants to stay by his side. So once again, the two rivals' battle gets cut short with an interference, forcing them to work together. You better get used to this, cause this is gonna happen quite a lot in this video. Gold is about to continue his search for Silver, but first stops to ask Cyndaquil whether or not it wants to give up on chasing Totodile. The reason being because Cyndaquil only joined Gold's side in order to help him get back Totodile. But with Totodile clearly not wanting to go back to Professor Elm, their alliance has no purpose anymore. Gold, however, still has a promise to keep with Professor Elm of getting Silver turned into the police. And if Cyndaquil keeps coming with him, then he'll have to keep fighting his old friend. Some more stuff happens and Gold meets up with Faulkner, and the two get onto the topic of goals, which makes Gold realize that the way Silver's acting and his reasons for stealing Totodile could all be a part of some big goal that he doesn't know anything about. Which is, of course, foreshadowing. Either way, Gold and Cyndaquil decide to try again to get stronger, this time as a true team that can defeat Silver and get back Totodile. Time skip a couple more chapters ahead and we find ourselves in Azalea Town, with Silver who's once again a couple more steps ahead of Gold. Silver visits Kurt in order to get him to create a heavy ball so he can catch a powerful Pokemon, and just as fate would have it, Gold arrives a bit later as well and gets a Pokeball from Kurt too. So Gold, along with Kurt's daughter, head to a mountain in order to catch a Teddiursa. Once the two arrive, they find, guess who? Silver, who's trying to catch an Ursaring. Once Gold sees how powerful Ursaring is, he pretty much just says, nah, screw Teddiursa, we're going for the big guns now. So now Gold and Silver compete against each other, trying to wear down the Ursaring in order to catch it. Silver brags to Gold that he knows the secret to catching a Pokemon and does a cool pose. But he ends up getting hit by Gold's Apom that got yeeted, which was pretty funny. However, this does make him drop the heavy ball. The two trainers and the girl end up getting cornered to the cliffside of the mountain, and once again they're forced to work together once more. Alright, time for a Pokemon lesson. Silver tells Gold the secret to catching a Pokemon is to have the Pokeball hit the Pokemon's energy point. For example, with an Ursaring, it's the center of its chest, and for a Teddiursa, it's the crescent on its head. This is actually a cool concept, and I like it way more than Pokemon Go's curveball mechanic. Okay, lesson over. Now armed with the information of what to do, Gold knows that it's his time to shine, and with the use of a pool cue, bounces his friend ball against a bunch of rocks that eventually hit into the heavy ball that Silver dropped, making both balls ricochet into the trainer's hands. And with both trainers having their Pokeballs, they throw them at the Pokemon and successfully catch Ursaring and Teddiursa. Whilst on a good note, Silver takes the opportunity to tell Gold that this is his final warning and to stop following him, and just like always, he runs away again. Gold heads back to Azalea Town where he finds Kurt and Bugsy at the Slowpoke well, just like in the games. And also like the games, Team Rocket were also there. However, unlike the games, Silver was actually the one to deal with them, rather than Gold needing to do anything. Gold wonders to himself why Silver's the one taking out Team Rocket. And in this point in the story, we have Gold's first change in character motive, from instead wanting to catch Silver, to now wanting to find out who he really is. After this encounter, Gold wouldn't meet with Silver for a long time, and his initial team of 2 would evolve into a team of 6, with the additions of Sunkern, who he caught when he met Faulkner, Polibo, Gold's missing Poliwag who he found by the docks, the Sudowoodo who blocks your path, and lastly a newly hatched Togepi, suffering from a crippling gambling addiction. Speaking of Togepi, now that he had hatched from the egg that Professor Elm had given Gold, he has to visit the daycare nearby Goldenrod City in order to get it checked. When he arrives, the old lady there gives Gold a chance to train his Pokemon into powerhouses, and Gold agrees in order to shrink the gap between him and Silver. So Gold undergoes a quick training arc, and after a while his Cyndaquil evolves into a Colava. Gold continues to train for a bit longer, but his training comes to an end when he has to go to Ecruteak City. Man, I cannot name that city at all. Anyway, he has to go to the city in order to help the daycare couple's granddaughter, and gym leader of the Olivine City, Jasmine. The reason she needs help is because Ecruteak City has been hit by a devastating earthquake while she was passing through. So it's time for the Golden Boy himself to go save the day. Now we can get back to the main point of the video, as Silver also happens to be headed to the same direction. And you know what that means. Gold arrives on the scene late and finds Silver and Jasmine inside the burnt tower, which starts to collapse. Working together once again, the two get Jasmine out of the burnt tower, but at the cost of their own freedom. The tower starts to close in on them, but with some smart thinking of Silver and the evolution of Poliwag into Poliwhirl, the two trade Pokemon at the last second and bust out with the combined power of Croconaw and Politoad's Whirlpool. Gold's disappointed at Polibo for not evolving into Poliwrath like Red's, but Silver tells him that it was part of the trade they just made, as Polibo was holding a King's Rock already. Just when Gold was about to get angry, the duo find themselves surrounded by Team Rocket. At this point, you can probably already tell where this is going. As tradition at this point, the two team up and manage to drive Team Rocket away, and Gold and Silver trade back Pokemon. Whilst they were fighting, Team Rocket said some stuff about the legendary Pokemon called Ho-Oh, and Gold asked Silver what it was about. Silver chooses to remain his silent, distant self, but Gold continues the conversation, this time asking Silver, has he ever enjoyed a Pokemon battle before? as every time they do battle, it always feels like Silver's trying to complete some kind of mission. And this is actually true if you've noticed, as every time they have a battle, Silver's main goal is to escape rather than to win. So Gold takes the chance to officially challenge Silver to a real, honest and true rival battle, seeing as both trainers have a Pokedex and Pokemon from Professor Elm, despite the fact they practically both stole them. Surprisingly, Silver actually agrees rather than running away. So I hope you're ready for what this video has been building up for, the rival battle between Gold and Silver. And it only took 10 minutes. The two trainers find a Pokemon healing machine and discuss the rules of the battle, being a 6v6 tag battle. However, Silver gives Gold the handicap of only using 5 and taunts that he could probably win with just 4. This is usually the part where I clown on a character for acting like this, but ever since their first meeting, Silver's been way ahead of Gold in terms of everything. So for once, I'm just gonna stay silent and let the man talk his talk. Okay, battle time. The two begin with Croconaw and Sneasel vs Quilava and Sunkern. They have a bit of back and forth, but Sunkern gets frozen by Sneasel's Blizzard. Quilava tries to land its Embers, but Sneasel's just way too fast. Gold swaps out for Sudowoodo, who uses its low kick to trip up Sneasel, then goes for the finishing blow with Dynamic Punch, which misses, of course. Rocks go flying everywhere, with one of which hitting Silver's Pokegear. That will be important later on. With Gold having the type advantage, Silver swaps out to Ursaring and Kingdra, and the two manage to take out Sudowoodo. You're probably wondering where Silver got a Kingdra from, and the story is actually pretty interesting, so let me tell you. When Gold and Silver traded earlier in the tower, Silver traded his Seadra for Gold's Polywhirl, and if you didn't know, Seadra evolves through trade, leading to him getting a Kingdra, which is honestly so smart it's annoying. The two prepare to swap Pokemon again, but of course, we get another interruption. Silver's Pokegear on the floor starts to ring, with his next objective being at the Lake of Rage, confirming Gold's suspicion that Silver was on a mission. The two stand in silence for a bit, but Silver pretty much just says, "Yeah bro, sorry I gotta go, but don't worry, I got you," and sends out a Tyranitar. And if you look at this guy's eyes, you can already tell this Pokemon is crazy. Tyranitar starts causing a mayhem and Gold realizes that Silver's not even telling it what to do. Silver reveals that Tyranitar's at such a high level that he can't even control it, so once it starts its rampage, no one can stop it. Silver then begins to do the turnaround while talking thing, so you already know we're about to get some cold artwork. And Tyranitar uses Sandstorm, blowing away Gold and his team. Gold tries to put up a fight using Politoed, but Silver stops his chances with Murkrow. Just when things are starting to look really bad, Tyranitar stops moving and starts to wobble. Silver wonders what's going on, and we get the reveal that Gold's Togepi managed to wedge itself into the side of Tyranitar with the use of Double Edge. However, this kind of backfires as Tyranitar begins to feint, but it also lands on Togepi, causing both of them to feint, and Silver just stands there dumbfounded at Tyranitar being defeated. Like, how could my Pokemon lose? This is impossible! However, with all his Pokemon down for the count, Gold accepts his defeat, but he's at least happy for the fact that he made Silver use all 6 of his Pokemon. Gold hands Silver his Pokegear and tells him next time they fight, he's gonna be the one who wins. Silver for once actually thinks highly of Gold here, as he managed to pick up his Pokegear during the Sandstorm attack. And if he instead focused on attacking, he could have actually managed to command an attack, meaning this battle could have gone very differently. This is really interesting to think about, as in Pokemon it's easy to forget that trainers are also telling their Pokemon to attack, which is also part of the process. So just being one word short of saying something could ultimately make you lose a whole battle. Silver then, as usual, begins to take his leave, and he tells Gold that this time he should be satisfied now, as they've had their battle, and he's proven himself. Silver also does Human Gold's questions on Ho-Oh and explains that it's a legendary Pokemon, and also the reason why the tower collapsed was from Team Rocket, who were trying to get Ho-Oh to come back. And lastly, his mission is to crush Team Rocket and follow Ho-Oh, and in order to reach his goal, he can't be picky with things, even if he has to break the law. Silver leaves, and Croconaw gives Cyndaquil a cute little nod to show its respect. Unlike last time though, Gold isn't gonna just let Silver run away, especially after hearing what his mission is. So Gold decides to follow Silver, and this time not just as a rival, but also an ally. What happens after this? Well, that's gonna be for another time. Since this video is meant to strictly be about Gold and Silver, I'm gonna only talk about their battles and their moments. Directly after this, they do have a tag team battle against someone, but I'm gonna leave that for a different video. However, I hope you still enjoyed me rambling about the rivalry of these two, and how they started as enemies, but as the story went on, they became more quote-unquote friends, as they kept meeting and working together. If you did enjoy this video, make sure as always to comment, like, and subscribe, all that YouTube stuff, for more videos on the Pokemon manga. And if you have any other characters and scenes you'd like to see me cover, go ahead and let me know, cause I'm always open to suggestions. Now, with all that said and done, take care,